On Overdrive this week, we bring you an in-depth review of the latest BYD SUV on sale in India, the Sealion 7. And we find out what's new in the latest Aprilia Tuono 457. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Soini Dutt. BYD is making strong strides in the Indian market, and the latest product to be launched in the country is the Sealion 7. In fact, it impresses everyone with its attractive design, cabin which is quite premium, advanced safety features, and of course all of this at over 500 kilometers of driving range. Let's go in with more details.
We're just getting started with 2025 and it's very clear that this is going to be the year for EVs in India. So in this heavy action, it's quite possible that the BYD Sealion 7 may have missed your full attention. But we're driving this SUV today, and in this video we tell you why you should give it a long hard look if you are in the market for a luxury electric SUV. The BYD Sealion 7 shares its E-Platform 3 with the Seal, so it's a fully integrated skateboard EV architecture. A single 82.56 kWh battery pack is available using BYD's proprietary Blade LFP technology. As with the Seal, a notable advancement is the cell-to-body technology, where the battery cells are directly integrated into the car structure, bringing lightness and better energy density. There are two powertrain options on offer, a dual-motor all-wheel drive option as seen here that's good for 542 km of any DC range, and a rear-driven single-motor version that does 567 km. While we couldn't put it through a range test, you can expect 450 km of real-world range from the dual-motor version without much hypermiling at all. Now, one of the complaints that we had with the Atto 3 and the Seal was that while the quality and finish was great, the design of the interiors felt a bit over the top. But now, as BYD has become a more global car brand, you realize that they've also matured in this aspect. The Sealion 7, when you look at the interiors, it looks modern, it looks contemporary, it looks like it could be out of any of the other major global car brands, and that's really quite a good thing because the quality has remained intact. So, as you can see, you have soft materials more or less everywhere here. Look at the roof lining, it's very well done, this mirror here. So in terms of execution, it's really quite good. There's still some flair in the flap-like door handles and in the way this connects to the dash, but overall it's sober and well accented by the ambient lighting. Some bits like the plasticky door handles and the untextured silver patterns on the dash are a bit of a letdown, but these are also well hidden by the rest of the feel from the cabin. So the buttons on the steering wheel and other switchgear have good tactility and good attention to detail. You notice this with the suede finish on the large charging pads and central bin, as well as the neat ambient lighting integration. The crystal gear lever and central toggle buttons make a good impression too with their textures and damped action. And then you have some of the more familiar touches that we've seen in BYD cars, although here too there have been some improvements. Of course, you have this massive 15.6-inch screen. Having said that, you still have that party trick of it becoming portrait. But as we've noted before, in the portrait mode, it kind of sort of blocks your view and it really doesn't work well. And when you do switch to say Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, it just goes back into the landscape mode, and this is where I think you should use it more often than not. But like before, most functions are controlled via the central screen. You still find that accessing the ventilated seats, climate settings and ADAS features need you to dive deep into menus. A party trick that helps to an extent is the live vehicle view that lets you control the windows and mirrors via the screen. The instrument cluster too could have been more customizable and shown more information than it does. The speed readout is quite small, but you are helped to an extent by the bright head-up display. You get a driver monitoring system, but as with these functions, it can get intrusive sometimes. Here's a look at all the other features and safety equipment that the Sealion 7 offers, of which there is a lot. But having said that, with this being a ground-up electric architecture, the kind of practicality that you get is really quite impressive. So of course you have this big huge space underneath. It's also got a nice suede kind of lining to it, which feels high quality. You have pretty decent sized cup holders. deep cubby here, a Type A, Type C charger, 12-volt charger. Like I mentioned, these really large charging pads. But for many of you, the rear seat will be the more important space in the Sealion 7. With a 2930mm wheelbase and 1660mm track width, this is a spacious car in the back. The dark cabin theme and small high-set windows can hide this, but a lighter cabin option is available too. Anyway, the glass roof also creates an airy sense. Here, as you can see, I have a pretty good amount of headroom, knee room and even leg room. That's not a problem considering these seats have been raised up. And we've also made a 6-footer sit here, and he's had no real issues in terms of fitting in here as well. Now, of course, with this being a fully electric architecture, you have a flat floor. So while you can sit in the middle and really there's no problem with the kind of room I have, this backrest really is quite intrusive and I wouldn't recommend it for long journeys. But we do think a third climate zone could have been added here. The glass is double glazed and has a UV film, but these don't work as well as full sunshades in our weather. But anyway, the seats themselves, they hold you in place well. They have a nice contouring to them, just like the front seats. So you aren't thrown around too much, say around a set of bends or so on and so forth. And the cushioning itself is also just the right consistency. And thigh support is okay for me, but the 6-foot person that sat here, they did complain about thigh support, so that is something you should be concerned of. You get even more of those Dyna audio speakers here and here. Some good storage space in the doors and around here again. And a Type A and Type C charge port, some more pockets here and here, and a couple of cup holders and a small space here.
We're not done with the BYD Sealion 7 just yet. More on this electric SUV after this very short break. Welcome back here with us on Overdrive. The BYD Sealion combines impressive performance, advanced technology along with striking design to make this product a very outstanding one in the growing electric car market. And here's Tuono giving us a few more details.
The BYD Sealion 7 is a large car by any measure. Much of the design shares cues with the seal with which this is closely related. You can see this with the wide LED headlamps, the sharp low bonnet and the grille inserts. There is a muscular theme with the bulges over the arches and the wide squat stance. The large 20-inch wheel seen in this example, as well as the heavily raked look to the glass area, also makes for a sporty feel. There also seems to be good ground clearance with the completely flat underbody. The short stubby rear enhances the sporty sense, the gloss black being used quite well to reduce mass. The large spoiler over the windscreen, the small one on the boot and the ornamental diffuser treatment being the most eye-catching elements. The rear lighting again is quite reminiscent of the Seal with its organic flowing patterns. Now, as with many of these electric SUVs that are based on skateboard architectures, the Sealion 7 also gives you a sizable 58-litre frunk, which means that a regular sized backpack fits quite easily. Of course, you can also use it to put your charging cables and so on. Now, the boot itself is about 500 litres. Yeah, it's not the biggest that you can find in this size of electric SUV, but I must say that it is practical. Yes, the coupe shape means that it's not an especially deep space and you can't stack a lot of items together, but BYD has thought of it. So what you can do is change the level of this floor, so to speak. There are 2 levels, you can make it deeper than this as well. And there is a small sub space below too, so if you want to hide something from everyone's attention, you can do that here. You have some heavy straps to tie down your items, a few more hooks here, and you also can fold down these seats to a good angle, as you can see, to free up a bit more space. Now, as you can see, the lip is pretty conveniently low. It's not the lowest that you've seen. So yeah, putting things in is fairly easy too. With the 530 PS and 690 Nm that this dual motor version makes, it's only natural that you might feel a bit intimidated about driving the BYD Sealion 7 for the first time. But the experience is far from this at first glance. As with other BYD models, the 360-degree cameras continue to help navigate heavy traffic, and here the tight turning radius also helps. Visibility out front is great. These pillars aren't too intrusive. Finding a good steering angle seating position, all very easy. These seats, I must say, are especially comfortable. They're especially adjustable. I can even change the thigh bolstering, so that's some BMW level stuff you're getting here at this price point. And then you come to the way this electric powertrain delivers its performance. Like most well-refined high-end luxury cars, progress is smooth and steady. The car doesn't feel twitchy or too energetic, and that might put you on edge a little bit. It's not like that. As you can see, there's a good swell of performance, but yeah, you have to be careful. If you aren't looking, you'll be reaching triple-digit speeds very quickly, so yeah, that's something you have to be careful of. But the way it builds performance is not intimidating at all.
Even at highway speeds, that strong performance can be put to good use. Given the good range, you'll probably never drive in anything but the normal mode. But even in the eco setting, the Sealion 7 is sprightly enough for this to be a default mode. But the real performance that you get from something that does 0 to 100 kmph in 4.5 seconds comes through in the sport mode.
Yes, the sport mode does give you a big dollop of power. As you can see, it's really catches you off guard, and the way it just relentlessly pulls in that mode. So yeah, it's good for a few party tricks here and there, but I don't think you'd want to drive like this every day on a commute or even on a highway trip. So yeah, if you really want to make a statement and overtake someone, then yes, the sport mode is for you. And if you want to really make good ground,
there are two regen modes to choose from. You have a standard regen mode, which works well enough for you to not notice it. It feels nearly the same as slowing down an ICE car, and there's no real anticipation or learning needed. You don't get a single pedal driving mode, but there is a high regen setting that can be used in heavier traffic, since on the highway it makes you lose momentum a bit too quickly. Despite this version running quite aggressive 20-inch wheels, the ride is impressive. Yes, the 45 section tires can throw you around a bit on broken roads, and there is a layer of firmness, but it's never harsh or crashy.
when you're on a highway cruise like this, it's completely flat, completely level. It has that high-speed stability that you want from a luxury car, so all of that is present. But even on the few broken patches and deep pits, yes, there is that very slight tinge of firmness, but otherwise it just seems to take them very well. You feel very little of it coming to the cabin, so to speak, and even if you hit a big deep bump while going fast, there's just a quick judder through the cabin and that's it. So yeah, it doesn't linger in the cabin, doesn't make the car wallow around or float around and so on.
The steering is up to the task. It's not especially direct or precise, but finds a nice balance of lightness and heft to keep things quite neutral. There is a sports setting for this and the brakes, but we would stay away from those with the more artificial sense that they bring. Braking is generally impressive. You have a smooth, natural feel from the pedal and great stopping power. So losing speeds quickly is easy and confident.
Now EV or otherwise, it's only fair to ask what a car with 530 PS and 690 Nm feels like around a set of bends, and we did try it pretty hard, and as long as you stay level, as long as you stay calm, as long as you're composed, it actually does reasonably well. In my opinion, I think the single motor rear drive variant will be a bit more agile, a bit more nimble. This one with its 2.7 ton gross weight, it's genuinely quite a heavy car. Yeah, if you really push it hard around a bend, it does start to run wide. You notice more power going to the front, it understeering a little bit. In those kind of situations, you do realize that this is quite an potent machine and you really need to treat it with some respect. But otherwise, say if you're on a brisk kind of run through a hilly road, again, it feels very confident, it manages its weight very well, it leans quite progressively into a corner.
Expected to be priced between Rs 50 to 60 lakh, the BYD Sealion 7 may not have the pull of a luxury brand or as much focus on the back seat as is needed, but it is one of the better value packages as far as premium electric SUVs go in the country. You have a spacious, comfortable and tech-loaded cabin, enough range to be a practical daily car, and much more performance than something like this needs.
Well, it's time to head into our final commercial break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we tell you all about the new Aprilia Tuono. Welcome back here with us on Overdrive. The Aprilia Tuono 457 has launched in the country at 3.95 lakh rupees, and while the engine, chassis and weight remain unchanged, the motorcycle now offers more performance than meets the eye.
is the Aprilia Tuono. Now, Tuono is a name that is synonymous with raw performance and aggressive styling, which gives it a niche in the realm of street fighters. Every Tuono, from the fire-breathing V4 to the more accessible 660, has lived up to the Aprilia racing DNA and also brought a relaxed riding posture to the mix. This here is the Tuono 457, the most accessible Tuono yet. So is this going to be another vehicle with raw performance and aggressive styling, or is it simply an RS 457 without the fairings? Let's find out.
One glance at the Tuono 457 and it is clear that Aprilia hasn't diluted the formula. Almost. It didn't really give it any weight savings because the dry weight is exactly similar to the RS 457. They went with this compact unit instead to keep the proportions intact for a sub 500cc street fighter.
The boomerang-shaped LED DRLs that instantly tells you this is an Aprilia. But there's no denying the fact that it looks like a beefier elder sibling to the Pulsars, Apaches and the Extremes of the world. If you want your Tuono to look beefy, well, don't go with the black and red. I know it's a signature color, looks really sporty, but it also looks quite skinny. If you want a more muscular styling, the white is where it's going to stand out. The white and grey, I think, looks really nice and brings out the imposing stance of this motorcycle. It all looks muscular around the tank and around the tail section. And I think that is really going to go a long distance for the Tuono.
The slick-looking TFT dash also comes from the RS 457 and maintains all of the functionality as well, including ride mode customization. Under the skin, the Tuono 457 shares its 457cc parallel twin engine with the RS 457. The power and torque output is the same as well, making it one of the most powerful motorcycles in its class and has an excellent power to weight ratio. But while the numbers are identical to the RS 457, the way this power is delivered is slightly different.
So pulling quick overtakes, taking that gap in traffic, getting those fast corner exits when you're out in the mountain roads or even on the track, all of that is possible with this amazing engine. So that difference is hardly noticeable. The gearing is well spaced, and then you also have the option of putting in a quick shifter to enjoy more spirited rides.
Aprilia is known for its incredible chassis engineering, and the Tuono 457 carries forward that tradition.
The stainless steel swing arm, the tubular subframe and the aluminium mainframe, all of that gets carried over again from the RS 457, which means that the motorcycle still feels very confident when you're attacking the bends. It doesn't feel twitchy, it doesn't feel skittish at all. So it's going to impart a lot of confidence and still attack the bends even if it's a street naked. And when you're riding it on the streets in the city, the flickability is simply superb. Negotiating those gaps in traffic, attacking those gaps in traffic, zipping through all of that is absolutely easy, just the way it should be for a street fighter. Now let's address the pink elephant in the room, the brakes. This is something that we did not really like with the RS 457. Aprilia claims that they have made it better over the last 1 year that the RS 457 has been out in the market. However, there is still a bit of that spongy feel. There's still a bit of that fade, that lever coming in under hard braking. Of course, you won't notice it that much as you do on the RS 457 because you're always in that attacking mode when you're on the RS, and you're also taking it to the track more often. This is more of a street weapon, but even there, the braking definitely could have been better. It's still one of the weak links for this platform. How does it perform on the highway? Well, the beauty of the engine again is that it can easily hold triple-digit speeds without breaking a sweat. Of course, it's a naked, which means that you are going to be battling the wind quite a bit. You're going to be battling the weather quite a bit. Having a small fly screen, maybe from the accessories, is definitely going to help, either from Aprilia or maybe the aftermarket. So if you are going to be doing a little bit of sport touring as well with this motorcycle, that fly screen is something that I definitely recommend. So coming back to the question that we began with, does it feel like an RS 457 without the fairing? Yes, it clearly does. That is what it is. And that's not a bad thing because the RS 457 by itself is such an excellent motorcycle. And this brings in all those goodies with that naked styling. So if you are into street fighters, if you are the kind of guy who wants to upgrade from a Pulsar, Duke or whatever, this is going to be a really, really great option. And if you're a girl doing this, well, the seat height is very friendly, the ergonomics are very friendly, so even you should have an easy time and a fun time riding this motorcycle. And that brings us to the price, 3.95 lakh ex-showroom. That is Aprilia pulling that trump card yet again with that pricing. I mean, the Japanese rivals, even with their new discounted prices and all of that, are still going to have a hard time. And even the single-cylinder rivals are going to have a hard time justifying why they are asking so much money without one cylinder, without that extra cylinder. So I think Aprilia yet again has a winner on their hands. They said with the RS457 that they want to limit it to 10,000 units. The motorcycle has already ridden past that in India. They have delivered a lot more than that. And I see even bigger numbers coming from the Tuono 457 because this is a stunning, stunning product. If I was a 20-something and wanting a street naked that could keep my parents happy, that could keep me happy on the road and on the track, this would be it.
With that, it's a wrap on this week's edition of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through our various social media platforms and you can write to us on YouTube as well. We'll see you next week. Until then, drive and ride safe.